Welcome back, everyone, to R2Kast number 310. The last episode we had, I'm guessing, would have been Jim Baird, Liz, whose names elude me, speaking about Nuffield sustainability on the Tales of a Nuffield Scholar series. The next episode we'll have after today will be with Kelly Hewson Fisher, and we're going to be speaking about water scarcity, water security, and all that sort of jazz. Today is going to be a bit different. If you are a Spotify and Apple Podcast listener, probably going to sound hopefully better. I'm hoping it sounds better. But everything I'm about to say for the next minute or two is probably going to sound a bit confusing. However, if you're watching on YouTube, it will make sense. I'm looking at that camera. There should be one there, and there should be one there. We're here with, God, what would it be? 7th or 8th person to come on the podcast twice. And we're here with someone that a few people have asked to have on, and was supposed to be on for number 222. Emily Ashworth stole that glory. And that is my partner Yasmine, and the first person is my dad, Colin Currie. Would you like to say hello, guys?
Hello.
Hello.
How he's doing?
Good.
Not bad.
Good. Well, I'll give a bit of a description of what's happening here. Howden have supported a lot of what I do, probably 6 episodes a month, and then 2 again through the Nuffield side of things. What you're seeing here, some pretty impressive kit if you are a Fed by Farmers fan, which I'm sure you are. Iona uses one of these as well, and I think someone called Cami appears here and there too. It's a Rodecaster Pro 2. I have 2 of these headsets. I haven't got one on Yasmin and Dad yet because we haven't got a third, so it felt a bit unfair. We've got all these different mics. We've got new stuff, and that's massive thanks to the Henry Plum Foundation, who I actually believe was a Nuffield scholar as well. So yeah, this is hopefully going to see some higher quality content coming out. We'll see some video content. I'll try and do it around the country, but this is definitely a test. So hopefully you guys are seeing this. If not, I've made a bit of a mistake, but I think it's recording. I think everything is working fine. But let's start off with Yasmin. You've never been on the podcast before. How does it feel to be here? Why didn't you come for number 222?
I still feel like I didn't have much of a story.
Oh, you definitely do. You definitely do.
Yeah.
Tell us about what's happened the last week in your farming story.
Just before we get into another episode of the R2Kast People in Food and Farming, I would like to thank our primary sponsors, Howden Rural. The team at Howden Rural support me and allow the podcast to release as many episodes as it has done now for in excess of a year. I love showcasing what this industry has to offer, which I know you all enjoy, and all of this is thanks to Howden Rural. Let's get back into it.
So I've got a Dorset sheep called Dorothy, and she's just had her triplets. She had, was it Wednesday night? Wednesday.
Yeah, 2 in the morning.
Yeah, Wednesday night. I got a call from Wallace at 2 in the morning saying that he thought that she might be about to lamb, and then she did. So then I got the boat the next day, to come and see her. They're lovely.
Tell us about Dorothy's story. She now lives on Arran. She wasn't originally on Arran.
Yeah.
Tell us about her story from before that.
At my last job, Dorothy was, well, the first sheep I kind of fell in love with, to be honest. I don't really know her story because she wasn't bred on the farm I was at. She was bought in, but from day one, she was so friendly. Like, so friendly. And then she kind of just got more confident, and it got to the stage where, like, she was my pride and joy every day. Every day I was so excited to go and see her and, yeah, see what she was up to. So then when it was time for me to leave that job, I was really, really worried that I wouldn't be allowed to take Dorothy with me. And I was a little bit like, oh, what am I going to do if they say no? But luckily they said yes. So I bought Dorothy and 2 twins who are spotted Dorsets. So they're pretty rare. And yeah, so Dorothy moved to Arran with them. They got loads in the back of the pickup, didn't they? And taken away.
Which I damaged my back doing that.
Yeah,
so we really
you
put a lot of effort
did.
in. I think it's important to mention that when Yas and I started going out, I reckon we heard about Dorothy more than we heard about me. We didn't really speak about the
Yeah.
relationship. It was
Yeah.
always about
I don't
Dorothy.
even know why she's Dorothy. I think it's because I just thought of her as like a sweet old lady.
It's
And
not because Dorset starts with Dor.
no. Oh, that's a good point though.
Are you joking?
No, honestly, I just was like, I just thought to myself, she really looks like a little sweet old lady. And I was like, what's an old lady name? And I just came up with Dorothy.
And
That's
you honestly never
honestly
made.
how it went. Yeah.
I never thought that.
No, I never thought of
Did you
Dorothy the
not?
No,
Dorset.
I didn't
Oh, I
actually.
tell
No.
everyone that's why she's called that.
No.
Oh, I apologise. Dad, you were on the 62nd. Should I say Colin? Should I say
You
that?
can
for
say
the sake of-
whatever you like.
It just
yes.
feels so surreal. For those
Sometimes-
listening, Colin Currie is who we're speaking to.
That's-
He doesn't just
I
always
don't, I
go by
don't
Dad.
mind. I'll let you away with it.
I feel there's only right. It is Colin Currie. I feel like I can't say Colin for the rest of the time. It feels so weird. When we filmed this last time, I can't remember exactly where we were, Dad, but your current plan was to go around every market in the country, and I think you'd either done none or maybe one or two.
I was underway. I think it was. I think it was the time we'd been up. We went to Forfar before it closed.
That's right. So
yeah.
what is that? The only one that's closed that you've been to since?
Yes.
Tell us about some of the tours since. You've done all bar 3 now, I think.
3 to do. I would hope to have done last back end, but an ongoing issue with ferries. That's all I'll say. So there's 3 markets still. We've done 1 or 2 in England. 3 that's still to go is Carlisle, Lockerbie, and Castle Douglas. But the rest, really it was when I was 60, which is, am I now? 62 and a half.
I'll be 63 in September. Is that
I'd
right?
hoped to do it in 2 years, which would have been if I hadn't been these 3. Sorry, what was your question again?
Any highlights? I guess anything that stands out.
Every one, I think, had a uniqueness to itself. Don't know. I just, I think each one had its own wee stories. I think.
What one was your favorite?
I think I'm going to have to be honest and say, being a kind of Ayr market is the market we go, liked it very much. But there was a few particular. One of the ones I really liked was Wooler. It was just a small. There were about 1,000 probably, or maybe slightly more. It was a fat sheep day, but so there wasn't many people there, but they were very friendly and wanted to know a bit about herself, and I just enjoyed them all. They were all interesting. Lairg was quite a sight to see. It was great. Caithness, there were a few up that way, and never been up there before. Inverness, Dingwall, sorry. Aberdeen and Northern, and Huntly, and we went. Your mum and I went basically for a week's holiday. I think we don't very often do. Yeah.
The times you were going, it was always a sale day. It wasn't just turn up. Doors going to be open. Doors
That
going
was
to be
the
closed.
condition of what we done. That to be a sale, didn't matter if it was a big or a small, but to be a market the day we went to them, and well, that was the case. Yeah.
With that, busy places were staff, were people that go there day to day quite receptive to you and mum? Were they?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
There were some markets we never actually said were there. Were other markets we did say, and the people were very, very keen to talk. And yeah, I think you obviously both been down in the Dumfries area. It was very friendly as well, and they all, to be absolutely honest, have all been. Some of them, as I say, we never actually said. We just went in and watched the sale, and maybe just moved on. There was odd ones we done 2 in the one day, just because that was fitting it in. Also, with us coming from an island, it wasn't just as easy to, just go and do it. Would to sort of do it with going away in the ferry, etc. as well.
Now, obviously, we know, but when was the last time there was an official market on the island?
It was, and it will be maybe a year. It's either 99 or 2000. I can't just remember which one. I think it was 2000, but it was about there.
And was there an auctioneer based on the island, or did they come over?
No, it was mainly Robbie Wilson, who was, I would say, an excellent auctioneer, and he was a very good friend as well. It was going back, even in my time, it was Thomas Donald who had Kilmarnock, Arran. I don't know whether they had any other. I don't think they had. And it became Ian Jai Wilson, who were Paisley at the time. And then about the 2000, I just remember they amalgamated Ian Jai Wilson with Craig Zavere and became Craig Wilson. And that's the main market we go to. There's obviously the Stirling ones as well, but quite a lot of our stock goes through here.
Was the plan ever to be the auctioneer yourself?
I would have loved it, but I don't think it would have been clever enough.
If you'd been offered the opportunity to either be auctioneer at Ayr or play for Rangers, what are you choosing?
Well, you see, you could do the both. You don't really. There is odd weekends when there's markets. I think the answer to the question probably be I wouldn't let them get many chances for any of the two of them. To be honest,
I think it's important to mention that Yaz and Dad sitting together both love the football. Massive fans.
No.
Yaz, tell us about your route into farming. You had ties to farming. Your mum sort of came from that world.
Yeah.
But tell us your route in.
Yeah, so I didn't grow up, I had no farming background. My mum grew up on a small farm, but they moved away from it when she was about 17, come to Scotland. But my mum's parents, they kind of still had some ties to farming. So I grew up with ponies. Like I had my own pony. But yeah, I mean, I was quite lucky. Like I had gone and seen lambings, and I'd never lamb myself, but I'd always got like lamb cuddles, from farmers locally. Um, but yeah, so my whole life I knew I wanted to work with animals. Originally wanted to be a vet, and then when I was younger I said I wanted to be a zookeeper, and then I decided I wanted to be a vet nurse. That was what I really wanted to do, but I didn't get my maths at school, so I was like looking at routes to get into it, and I saw that I could do animal care as a path through to veterinary. And then I did that. I did HNC animal care at Barony. And I did my maths on top of that with Perth College over line. But it was a bit of a hard year because it was during COVID. So it was all at home. So I didn't really get much of a college experience, to be honest. So then the next year I did the HND, and I went to Barony, and that was great. I got to live in and have a bit of a college experience. And then just through doing that, we had farm practicals once every week, and I completely fell in love with the farm practicals. They were really, really good. And then, yeah, quite a lot of the people I was with in dorms and things, and my best friend Duncan, they all came from farms. So quite early on, I said like, "Oh, would there be any chance I could come for a lambing?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." But I never really thought that I would. So yeah, it was great. So I went to a lambing in Ullapool because I had to do that as part of my placement for my HND. I absolutely loved it. And then when I came back from that, I was really, really hooked. That was kind of it. And I got offered a job as the apprentice at Barony. And I came back.
How long were you in that role for?
Altogether,
Yeah.
I say 3 years. I think it was like 2 and a bit. I was at Barony for, yeah.
So what was it like to go? Because I mean, this podcast originally started back in 2021, and the whole concept was how do you get into farming, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's famously difficult. You've found yourself doing a few hours in a practical that's for a course that's not strictly focused on agriculture. You've got hooked. You've
Yeah.
managed to get into that apprenticeship. What's it like being, oh my god, I'm working on a farm, when 3 months ago this was completely new to you?
Yeah. Wow. Well, yeah, I was very, very excited. I loved it. Like, I'm not a morning person. Like, as you know, I hate getting out of bed, but yeah, the first 2 months going to work, I was up, I'd do my makeup, and I get very excited to go in. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. And it was also my first proper job, other than working at like the stables when I was in 6th year at school. That was like my first full time big job. So yeah, it was really, really exciting. And like you said, it's quite hard to get into farming, especially when you're not from a farming background, because like even though I knew I wanted to do shepherding, can't just be a shepherd. You have to learn those skills and then apply them. So I was a bit like, how am I gonna do that? So yeah, I was very, very lucky the way I got into it.
Yeah, you're very
Yeah.
lucky, but you've got to also take the bull with the horns. You've got to go for it as well. It's not just a case of, yeah, maybe you got the opportunity, but it was earned and then keeping it as well. Dad, you were always on a farm. It's been the desire.
For here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever not lived in this house?
Yes. When your mum and I get married from the end of it was into November because we were away for it. We were away after we got married, but we were down in Michael Estate for 5 months, I think it was. Aye, about 5 months. And other than that, no.
Was it when you were younger and you're at that stage where everyone's like, oh, what are you going to do? You're going to go to college? You're going to do whatever? Was the intention always here?
Yeah, I think so. And it's quite interesting just hearing what Yasmine said there from a background. I know that your mum, but starting off was more from a I don't mean but non-agricultural, but I think I always wanted to farm sheep and cattle. I'm not the world's best machinery person. I think you know that, and I think anybody listening knows that. But I mean, yeah, I always did. Yep.
You did go to college though.
I went to Oak Ridge on I think it was called Block the Release. It was just so many weeks a year. It wasn't like a full-time course, but I was there 3 years, I think it was.
It was probably the exact same thing you done, but just a different
Yeah,
name.
because you were the same as me for the apprenticeship, weren't you, Colin? That you only went like once a month or something like that. Yeah,
6 or 8 weeks of the year or something.
Yeah.
Maybe not even as many as 8.
yeah, that was the exact same as me.
Something like that. Something like that.
Did that work quite well for you?
It did. Well, there was in these days, but I think I'm right in saying there was on the island's agricultural training board, and there was a person came over from the mainland, and part of it you were kind of expected to go to it was part of go to the college through it. I can't just remember how it exactly worked, but I know that there was something to do with the training board, how it originally went. I don't know if that was the same for the rest of the ones on the island. As far as I remember, it was something to do with the training board. Can you just mind exactly how that worked?
We have a bit of a running joke between Yaz, yourself, and I, where, well, yeah, you and I wouldn't have been going out, Yaz, and you'd listened to the first episode with Dad, and I'd said, "Tell us about the farm," and Dad says, "Well, I think you know about the farm, Wallace, but for the listeners at the minute, Dad, tell us about the farm."
Tell us about the farm.
Yeah.
Well, we run. I mean, like a lot of bits on the island with a lot of rented ground and seasonal ground, but we own Bridge Farm and the land at Balnacool, of number 2 Balnacool, it's called. We run about 600 ewes, and we're just a very small suckler herd of 11 cows. Run about a couple of hundred hogs, but we don't top any of the hogs. And there is, maybe about 220 in a mule clean cross ewes. They go to Texel. We have about 80 that go to, we tried Logidurnal this year, and the name has left me, the one it is.
Is that the Frontier?
I think it might be, but I've just...
Yeah, I can't remember either.
The name's kind of slipped. And we've about 100 pure Cheviots, and another lot that we're kind of changing over to Cheviots, about another 150, and we've also about 50 pure cleans. I think I've said them all like that. Yep.
We've got 3 Dorsets.
And through sorry, but I don't really have them.
9.
No,
9 Dorsets, true. Yeah.
And 9 Dorsets, Aye, it's not that long ago. It was just 6.
I know, crazy.
Sorry about that,
No,
Yasmin.
it's
Yeah.
okay.
You know what's most impressive about that, Yaz? I've never seen you do maths that
I
quick,
was
but when it's
struggling
Dorset,
there. I was like, I don't want to get it wrong while being on a pod.
Aye.
no one's gonna see. No one's gonna see.
I think as well is that when you were talking about the original episode you were on, Colin, I've listened to that 5 times.
You're not bored of them.
Huh?
You're not bored of them.
No, I listened to it twice before I started going out with Wallace, and then when I started dating Wallace, I listened to it like again and again, just so I could get a grasp of the farm, what it was like and things. Yeah.
Well, it's very much a hill farm,
Yeah.
you know. And
What was the reason to jump from Blackies and Swales to Cheviot's, or transition anyway?
I think I would say that there was a long while I didn't have much in the Cheviot world, but we started to quite like them and decided just to change over. Maybe as you get a wee bit older, they're maybe a wee bit easier handled. I don't know, but quite like what we're getting with them. I mean, we've only been a few years now with the one I was saying, the 100 lot, and there's another lot we're just kind of changing them over within, which will take a few years, just crossing them out.
There's not many photos in our living room when you come in, but there's 2 that stand out to me. There's one where yourself and I, you having had just been knocked out about 15 minutes prior, speaking to Princess Anne. But the other one, tell us about the photo of you, I, and Catty at 2012's show.
Well, I've been at Arran show quite a few years now. I think it'll be 61 because I think it was September, so I'd miss out one. Oh no, 62 for them, 63 this year.
Yeah, but there's one not happened because of COVID. So.
Oh, well, of course, that's true. And I think, anyway, well, I've never won Arran show, neither did my father before me, but that year Wallace did win the show, and yeah, it was a very proud day. It was as I say, I've never won it, but he's lucky that he is still in the go, because when he was told, or when they announced he was the champion, I just about broke his back with whacking him. But so yes, it was great. It was great.
I think to say I won it's a bit of a stretch. I was bought the hours
Well,
to get me back into farming.
It was you that won it.
That was a good day. Good day.
Very good day. Very good day. It poured, but I remember
Chucking it down.
it was a very good day.
Was the show around when you were younger as well?
Yeah, it's 100 and what is it? 80
I
something.
was just wondering.
Aye, 185 or something like that.
185 or 80 something. I'm terrible. Some people can
185.
just say that
Wow,
I need
that's
to
a
look at.
long time.
I need to look at a program.
That's almost
But
older than Dad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a.
And you?
It's a great day of the year,
Yeah.
and it's also there's a lot of people come over to Arran show because it is, as well as the show, and people they also meet up with people who maybe haven't seen since last year's show.
Yeah.
So it's
I know.
it's good. It's excellent.
We need to go
Excellent.
this year.
I'd like to quickly interrupt another great episode of the R2Kast with another interesting guest, as I so boringly say every time, because they all are, and that's thanks to our primary sponsors of the podcast today, Howden Rural. Howden have a following of over 110,000 and are committed to supporting the community by raising awareness across social media through farmer collaborations via takeovers aimed to showcase the good, the bad and the farming, as well as their walk in their wellies blog.
Well, that you raise a good point. Why didn't we
Yeah.
go this year? Last year.
We were in New Zealand at the time.
So obviously everyone listening, I assume, by this point knows I've done quite a bit of enough field travel, but we decided maybe, when did we maybe March, April time, I was like, well, screw it, let's go.
Yeah.
And
Wow,
tell
yeah,
us about it.
you were talking about it for quite a while.
And I just assumed you were on
But-
board.
Huh?
I just assumed you
No,
were on
but
board.
like I don't know. It was only I don't know. You gave me the invite, but I wasn't really up for it, was I?
No.
And then it wasn't really until I don't know. One day I was like, yeah, do you know what? And Mum said the same thing. Mum called me and she was like, you really need to go because it will be an amazing trip. It was. I just needed that push
Yeah.
out the door.
I think you actually needed dragged by the time we went, but we got you there.
Yeah.
The original plan was we were going to go Japan, Singapore, and then we were going to fly for a week to New Caledonia because one of the Nuffield guys, New Caledonia is part of France, which as the story goes became the issue. Romain Gaiety had asked us out to stay on his farm, bee producer, honey producer, I guess, bee farmer. And about a week before, Nouméa, which is essentially the capital of the island, was just in uproar. I think French people from mainland France have been given the ability to vote in New
That's right.
Caledonia. Yeah.
Mhm.
Which
so.
is pretty mental, really, when you consider it's about as far away as you can possibly be. And yeah, it was just riots and car bombs and all that. So he was like, don't come. So we went Japan, Singapore, New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that.
That was great. Yeah, it was really good. I feel like Japan went really quickly though. Was it 5 days?
5 or 6.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was
Could-
really good fun.
Could I interrupt just for a second?
Yes.
Did you enjoy a particular boat journey?
Oh goodness.
So Dad's mentioned boats twice. Tell us about the boat journey. Yes, I
Wow,
loved it.
you're
I
there
loved
the
it.
details of the boat journey, but we were gonna fly, weren't we? But we couldn't. This was in New Zealand, and we were gonna fly, but then we couldn't because we got told that the camper van we had we'd struggle to then get it.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to
on
go
the-
Christchurch, Queenstown, fly to Wellington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the North Island, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were told that you couldn't pick up the camper van there. So right, we're gonna take it across. So we're gonna have to get the boat, and because me and Wallace had UK numbers, they couldn't figure out how to call us, could they? Tell us that it had changed, it was
Wait,
cancelled.
I still don't get that though, because I gave them my
No,
plus
I
44
don't really
number.
understand either,
anyway.
but that was their excuse. So it wasn't communicated to us. So we were there in time as well. That was the annoying thing.
But were you not maybe about 5 minutes later than intended though? No? Something
No.
not happening, including New Zealand police, no?
No.
Totally didn't get pulled over.
No, I did. I got pulled over, which was mortifying.
Which makes me so happy because you always say how quick a driver I am. So that was a nice moment.
Yeah, I was struggling with what was it in?
Picton?
No, like
Oh, because it was
the
in kilometres an
kilometers.
hour.
That's it. I was struggling with that. I wasn't even going that fast.
She
Was
was.
I?
She was,
No,
yeah.
it was what was it? A 30?
No, I think I think it was I
A
think it was
30.
yeah, and you were going
40.
low, high 30s, like it really, which is
Yeah.
not quick because it's
But
days.
I had just come into the village and then I had slowed to the time that I'd realised I was in a village, but he caught me as I was going into the village. And he followed me quite a bit down because I was going round the roundabout and I heard like the sirens going off and I was like, oh, it's really bizarre. Anyway, I took my exit. And it's still going off and I'm like, are we being followed?
I feel like I do have to say I've thrown you under the bus. At least we were just speaking to Neil McMaster there earlier today. We we'll come to boat story in a second, but we landed in Christchurch and yeah, you're about to get a camper van. And as it went, big little campers did not care if you had a license or not. But anyway, we got in the taxi at the airport, going to the place to pick up the camper, and I'd went into my wallet, and there's a bit of a running joke that Yaz is a wee bit older than me, and she makes sure that sorry, the other way around. I'm a bit older than Yaz, and she makes sure that I remember that. And
Yeah.
I pulled out the
Clever, Yaz.
license. Yeah, exactly. I pulled out the license, to which she said, "Oh, that looks old," and I was like, "Oh, very good." And then she said, "You know they expire," and like obviously I know that, but whoever thinks of it when their car license is going to expire? And we'd landed on the 11th of July, and it was due on the 15th. So it had
It
a
was
28
bad
day.
timing. Yeah.
But we got it sorted. But yeah,
Especially when we were doing so much driving. Like in Japan and Singapore, like we didn't do any driving, but in New Zealand, it was how we got around.
yeah. Well, we went to
Yeah.
all bar 2 region of the 16 regions in New Zealand. But yeah, tell us about the boat journey. You'll tell us it funnier because you liked it a lot less than I did.
Yeah. So, well, can you help as well though? Because like, what was it called?
Inter-Islander?
The Inter-Island.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we turned up at the office for the boat we thought we were getting on because we hadn't had any contact, and they said, "Oh, we're really sorry, but that boat has been cancelled, and we couldn't get hold of you." And it turned out that what they'd done to everybody else which was in that position, they had called and they had got the earlier boat. So, but we didn't know that, and we were sitting in the camper van at where we thought we had to go to queue For what? 2 hours?
Well, we'd had lunch and then spent a bit of time in Picton. You don't want to spend too much
There
time.
wasn't really a lot to do.
And
no.
then, yeah, probably more. You just sat in
Just
the
sat in the camper van. And then it got to the stage where we were like looking at our, like Wallace was looking at his watch and he was like, should there not be like more cars like queuing up behind us to get on this boat? And it was dead. And then luckily a really nice guy who'd worked there got sent out because they had cameras and they could see we were waiting there, didn't he? And he's like, follow me. But at this stage we're still, it's like, oh yeah, we're obviously in the wrong bit. Turns out, yeah, so the only boat that was left was one for like
a cargo one.
a cargo one for like all the lorries and yeah, deliveries. We had to wait a while for that one as well.
Well, our original boat was 5.
Oh,
and
was
they-
it?
and they
See, I
said-
don't remember.
And they said it went at 2, but they just couldn't tell us. And then we ended up getting on this one at 10, but it didn't leave until 11:30. And then it took 3 hours in the first part of the Cook's Strait because it couldn't leave. The people in the boat could not have been nicer. They brought they were like free food, whatever you need, just whatever you need.
And the lady brought us pillows and blankets as well.
That's right.
And we just put like 2 settees together, didn't we?
Yeah.
Which wasn't the copyest, but
I thought it was great fun.
My mum was tracking me, because I've got a tracker on my phone, and then she was messaging Wallace's mum, and she was like, "They've not even left; they're just doing circles. Like, what's going on?" Because at that stage, the lady had come through. It must have been on the boat for an hour.
Probably, yeah.
And the lady who worked there came through and said, "Guys, we're really sorry, but we actually haven't left yet. We've had to anchor down. Like this, like was it a storm or the winds?
It was pretty rough, yeah.
Well, it's just like we can't get out. It's like too choppy, so we've had to anchor down." And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I was getting to the stage where I was like, "It's a sign." I was like, "Get us off this boat. We need to turn back. Like, if we can't go, we can't go. We have to turn back." I was like, "Don't try and force fate here." But we eventually got out, and it was the choppy. It was a big boat as well. Like it wasn't it. It was way bigger than the ones you get to Arran and things. And it was literally rocking side to side. We could see the waves like crashing at the windows. And then at one stage, I got up to go to the toilet, and we were getting thrown like all over the place, like wall to wall, trying to go to the toilet. It was horrible. But we both managed to get to sleep, didn't we?
I loved it. I mean, I literally loved it. Yeah,
I don't know how. Honestly, I thought we were gonna die. It was really, really choppy, like really choppy. And because we were the only people. What? Well,
Oh, it was a car. It was a thing.
yeah.
wasn't
Well, where were they all in their sleeping?
Well, I think they got
booths
cabins,
or-
didn't they? They got
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't get a
booths like that.
cabin. It was pretty bizarre. Yeah, we were like the only people on that floor, so we couldn't even look around and see what anybody else was thinking because we were the only people. So yeah, we got some sleep and then we woke up because we got told that. So then the lady came through and told us that there was a delay. It was what was it, a 3-hour boat? It was meant to be a 3-hour boat journey.
Yeah, and it was we got on at 10 and got off at
At
9:30 in
9.
the morning. Yeah.
So she came through and said, "I'm really sorry, but because of the weather, we're going to be a bit later getting there. We're going to get there at 6 in the morning," was what she said. And then the next day, me and Wallace woke up and we still weren't there. And I'd say the final hour was when we both felt really, really ill, wasn't
Oh yeah,
it?
me then as well.
We'd lasted really well. I think because we were sleeping as well. Like it wasn't the best. And we were both trying to fight it. Like I couldn't speak to Wallace. I was like pacing up and down the boat trying to distract myself. I grabbed a sick bag just in case. I was like, "You're not." I was like, "We were so close. You're not going to be sick." And I've got a funny picture of Wallace like on the sofa with a pillow, just like leaning over, like half dead with a bag in his hand just in case. So yeah, it was not fun, was it?
No, that
No.
part was rough. But here, I think the journey itself. Obviously, you're not doing
Because it was because we looked it up before we went, and so many videos and things came up on the internet saying like the most beautiful boat journey in the world. It was like one of like in the top 10, and we just had the worst experience possible.
And it would have been stunning. Like looking out to it at Picton, we had a nice day in Picton as well. Had we left at the right time, it'd been pretty. But yeah, it kind of changed. Yeah, as you're not an Nuffield scholar, but you've probably done much travel as some. Tell us
Yeah.
a few highlights of Japan, Singapore, New Zealand.
Well, I've always really liked the Japanese culture and the food. So I think definitely the Japanese like barbecue pit was amazing. Was so good because I've seen that like all over social media, like all over YouTube, and I've always wanted to do it. So that was really really cool. And that was like literally our table had a little. It was gas, wasn't it?
Yeah, just
A
in
little
hole,
like
yeah.
I don't know, gas barbecue. Like had
Yeah,
like
I'd say
a
just in a hole in
netted,
that,
yeah. And we got to cook our own meats, and oh, it was amazing, wasn't it? It
And
was
what
really good.
helped was we had Kyoto as well.
Mhm.
Kyoto Yoshikawa is a Japanese scholar, and I love Kyoto to bits. He took us to Kyoto University, which was made me feel stupid. I think we're so clever.
Yeah.
And then speaking of getting pulled over by police, Kyoto just jolted in
Yeah, you got
Kyoto.
pulled over too.
Yeah, get pulled over. He's like, I do it every day. It's fine, but he pulled over. We did that. That was really good, and we didn't overspend. That was the thing about Japan was the food was amazing,
And it was pretty reasonable, wasn't it?
ridiculously
Yeah.
cheap. Yeah, ridiculously cheap. Yeah, we spent basically Singapore falling in love with an American TV show about barbecuing. But tell everyone about your whiskey experience.
At Cadrona.
Yeah.
That was really cool. So we went to Queenstown that day, didn't we? It was about an hour drive from
Yes, it was just
Queenstown.
past Wanaka. So
But
between
it
Wanaka
was
and
a
Queenstown.
horrible road. We actually got told that camper vans aren't meant to go up that road, was what we got told. So like you're like slowly going up this hill thinking, gosh, are we gonna make it? But it was worth it because it was lovely views at the top, wasn't it?
Well, we actually
It was
watched the
so
flight we
nice.
were supposed to take from Queenstown come out.
Yeah, we
'Cause that was
did. Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
Dad says the roads are bad in New Zealand. They're stunning. There's not a bad road in New Zealand. They're all good.
They're
just
horrible to
bendy.
drive,
They're just
though.
bendy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're beautiful, but like, and sometimes there's no rail. There's no nothing, and you're just like, God, if we were to fall, we're gone. I knew you knew it was bad when you looked at the sat nav and you see the route and it's like do you know what I mean? Like zigzag, zigzag, zigzag. You're like, oh no, it's gonna be really, really bad. Yes, we went to Cadrona Distillery. What was the lady called?
Desiree.
Desiree.
Lee,
Yeah, I remember it was a really cool name.
I think.
She was a Nuffield scholar, and you called her up, didn't you?
Yeah,
To
just
ask if
next
there was
door.
any chance we could get a tour and see round. And she called back and she said that she wasn't in, was she?
No.
Was she away? No.
Can't remember. She wasn't there.
I can't remember.
anyway.
She wasn't there,
Yeah.
but she set up a tour. What was the guy called we were with?
Sterling.
Sterling. Yeah, they all had really cool names.
Yeah, really cool.
And he was just great, wasn't he? We got a whole private tour, me and Wallace went around the whole thing. He spent ages with us, didn't he? Like,
Oh, it must have
describing
cost
the
him so much.
process and-
Yeah.
And then I got to pour my own bottle of choosing. There was, what do you call them?
There's 3 barrels. There was
Barrels,
a bourbon,
yeah.
a cherry, and a other one.
I don't know. And yeah, we
all know
got
what
we
kind
got
of
to
thing.
sample all 3 and then pick the one that we liked the most. And I got to pour my own bottle, which was really really cool. But I kept saying at this stage, I kept saying to Wallace, "Oh, like we're getting our own bottle," and Wallace like, "No, we're not. It's just like they're just doing it. It's part of the like experience." And I said, "No, we're getting our own bottle." And then, surely enough, by the end of it, they'd like sealed it. They'd written a label. Like I got to sign the label. It was lovely. It was really, and we got that for free. Wow.
Yeah, we did.
So that was yeah, such a nice souvenir.
And I'd taken Arran 10-year-old whiskies as a non-drinker of whiskey. I'd taken, God, how many did I have? 300, I think, around the world to give to people wherever. And I'd said to Yaz, I was like, do I tell them? Like, do I say, do you want another whiskey when you're
Because
already a
we
whiskey
just
distillery?
thought like that wouldn't be a big deal. Like, didn't we? We didn't think it
Yeah.
would compare, and they freaked out when we
Yeah.
told them. They're like, "Oh my goodness!" And Wallace was like, "Well, do you want a miniature?" And they're like, "Yes!" They were so excited.
It was cool. It was a cool place.
Yeah.
You travelled much, Dad?
Not really. I've done a wee bit,
bit.
but not far. And I mean, I've been abroad, but just before I forget, I forgot to say the stock because your mother will be chuffed. I forgot to mention the 6 Texels.
Oh, did you not say the text?
No, I didn't.
Oh, did you
It
not?
Oh,
was
I
a
should have
just my-
corrected you.
No, I went to Madeira on honeymoon and
That went
been
well.
in Austria and Germany. Did my dinner in Luxembourg once, many, many years ago on a school trip, and Denmark.
Yes,
think-
that's more than I thought. That's,
I think that's them all.
I think you're missing somewhere. You know,
Am I?
maybe
Yeah.
not.
oh, you went for. You mentioned we went for your
Well, I've been in
honeymoon.
Belgium.
Yeah,
When this,
but it,
that was a school trip. So that's a while ago.
it's always been like yourself and mum have been like monitoring my flights for the last couple of
Aye.
years, trying to work
Aye.
out where I am. And but you contributed to the New Zealand trip because we were in Singapore,
Yeah.
and just as we're in Singapore and we were leaving. By the way, Singapore airport in itself is mental. But as we were leaving it, you said to get in touch with Alistair Bird.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I in New Zealand. I is fella watching YouTube.
Yeah. Big YouTube fan is Colin.
yeah.
Big YouTube fan.
That's quite good. It's very good.
What is you sort of said what there is on the farm? Is it indoor lambing, outdoor lambing? What does that look like?
Bit of both. Well, lamb. Probably about. It will be probably about half and half. The mule user I've seen with about 220, 30 of them between them and clean crosses. We'll put one lot all inside, another lot start lambing them out, and maybe at the end run in the last few. But there's maybe about 75% of them are lambed inside, and then just some other batches as the time goes on. Usually lamb the hill twins in because we shift them maybe to a different place. And aye, about half and half. Yep.
Mm.
And one thing I wanted to ask about was in the last few months, we've had Arran Young Farmers start up, which is
Yeah,
exciting.
that's good.
Yaz, you remember?
Yes.
I'm a member. Which has been really good, and we tried it 2015. No, I don't think tried is fair. I think we managed in 2015. We got it going for a few years, a few of us, and for various reasons that we don't need to get into it folded. But there's been maybe 2 or 3 times in the last decade I've been like, right, we can make this happen. But the issue was there wasn't a core team that wanted to make it happen.
No.
But there is now. Sophia, Donald, Alan, Daniel, Emily, Kelsey, whoever. For those I've missed, I apologise. But 40 years ago this year, you found yourself as chair. Tell us your experience with young farmers.
Great.
Were you chair?
40th anniversary chair.
I did not know that.
Did I not show you the wee programme? I'll show you after.
Yeah. That was in what was it called in White Bay? Was it the White Bay Hotel it was
Oh, I
called?
don't know.
Chelsea in the front, I can't remember.
I'll put a wee
But
photo of it in the video.
no, we had a great time, the young farmers, yeah. I think I would be about 16 maybe when it started again. Just like you're saying about the present. And I would have been it. Yeah, right up to, I think it was, originally started, it was 26, then that was, am I right in saying it was up to 28 or something? Or
It's now
even
30.
to
but
30.
Yeah.
The kind of latter years, but no, it was great and done a few exchange visits and met a lot of people that still to this day. You might not see them for years, but you bump into them, and it is a great body out there for that, for getting to know other young farmers, other clubs, and it's a good organisation, a great organisation, and it's great, and it looks as though you have got more people this time, and hopefully it does go, because you can develop a great friendship and just in your own club on the island as well. It's great.
Which is
Yeah.
nice because it gets, teenagers, young adults involved who aren't from
exactly.
farming backgrounds.
Yeah, they can.
Which is
Yeah, that's
great.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, there's the club at the minute is
Yeah.
farmy, is equine, is nothing in that space as well.
Yeah.
It's good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
especially on Arran, people were just excited to have something to go to. mean, it's not really a youth group, but it kind of is. Yeah.
I mean, there's a Arran Youth Foundation which do, from what I understand, great things. I really need to speak to Graham who runs it, but it's like until the end of school, so it's that like transition into adulthood and that stage as well. But we've actually got an event that will have happened by the time this is out, happening on the farm. A vet that used to work on Arran is coming over to do a sort of, not a lambing demo, but just a vet chat around the lambing side of things. But if you're a West Fife listener, Dad maybe has a question for you. What was the cup you won in West Fife?
I wondered what you were going to say there. Well, we went to West Fife, and I think the team, it was, Yasmine, what was the Kinross show?
Yes, it was Kinross.
And we were asked about a team, I don't know how long ago this is, probably my early 20s possibly, so about 40 years ago. Myself, Kenny Bowen and Robin Irvin, and if I've got that wrong, I apologise, but I think that was the three of us. And we won the cup at Kinross Agricultural Show. We had a team went back the next year, got on well, but we didn't retain it. But it was quite a surprise to us. We just put a team in because we were there on an exchange. Yes, if anybody's out there can give us any more enlightenment of what the name of the cup was, but it certainly was Kinross Show.
It was stock judging, wasn't it? No,
There's a stock judging.
Yeah.
Aye. I don't know many teams, but I think there was quite a lot.
It'd be nice to be
But,
sent a picture as well of your name on it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I suppose that it will be on it, right enough.
Yeah.
But or it might have just been Arran.
Do you
Junior
remember
Agricultural Club?
Lucy Orias that met us at the theatre?
I
and
know
then
you
there was
asked, and
also-
she said she wasn't too sure.
Yeah, she was trying to find it. She was an East Fife member. Now she's in West Fife. But yeah, I'm sure we'll find it. Tell us about your. I think this might be something that might be a bit challenging to do now, but I'm sure we could. Your pool from Whiten Bay to Brodick, I think it was.
Oh, pool.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't sure. We pulled a 135, I think, if I'm correct. We pulled it from. Where did we start off? We started off in Whiten Bay, that is correct, and we pulled it to Brodick. I think there were 17 of us. But we'd also had to turn about if somebody sat on it, the break when required, and different things. And just as we were coming to Brodick, which was the easiest bit, and they managed to get me in the seat and sitting in the tractor, and after all the pulling I'd done all the rest, that's not actually true.
I've heard that story so many times. It must be true.
The story's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just joking about me and I was in the tractor, sitting in it the last bit. Yeah, it'd be for charity if I can't remember that, but it was good. It was for those that know the area. I think we went along when we got into Lumlash, instead of going right up the start, we went along and up Bungalow Road, which made it a wee bit till we got up beyond the golf course. It was quite hard going, but we managed it. We just worked.
And
worked
what
away.
was it? Was it a few ropes, or was there something?
I can't remember, but I
Yeah.
suppose it was. It must have been something that we. It must have been. You'll need to have some of the rest of them.
Yeah, as Dad spent the last couple of years doing market tours, tell us about. Well, they didn't call it a market. They called it a. That's terrible. Just called it a sale yard. I think they called it in Fielding. Remember the one where?
Oh yeah, that was really, really cool. Yeah. So when we went to, it was Fielding Ag, wasn't it?
The school,
It was
yeah.
called Fielding Ag. They were lovely, and they took us to one of their local markets where they sold their sheep and their stock, didn't they?
That's right.
When they
yeah,
went off.
yep.
But when they took us, it was empty, and they were like, "Oh, it's such a shame that you're not going to be here to see what it's like when it was full." So we had a little wander around, and it was pretty cool. But then we managed to see it when it was full, didn't we?
Was that the next day we went in a row?
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, but
That's right.
and it was crazy, wasn't it? How many sheep could it hold?
I think it was 38,000 a week.
Oh,
I
it was.
think.
But it was crazy because
Something like that. You
Yeah.
said I can't
the
even
sheep,
exactly.
the sheep were all outside in pens, and the cattle were indoors. But it was like you got to walk up the steps to a ramp, and then when you stood at the top, you could just see all the sheep pens. And it was
Yeah, they came down.
unreal.
You would be looking at that bit. You would be looking at sheep for half a kilometre all around.
Yeah.
Yeah, or cattle. But I think it
And
was
then
350 sheep pens and then about 90 cattle pens.
it would have been cool to do a time lapse on what it's like for them to get them all into their individual pens, because at the very end was where the lorry is offloaded and there was like ramps, wasn't there, for them to come down
right.
and
No,
off.
they back in, it's just the, I don't know what they call them, but they just come out.
Don't worry,
The
fine.
site,
Just leave it. It's fine there. Fine there.
it's like half the back door comes
Yeah.
down and they go into a ramp. Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
but
There was a lot of that
much-
in New Zealand, wasn't
Aye,
there? Yeah.
pretty
Well,
much everybody, I think.
Yeah.
Everybody
Uh-huh.
has like these.
I don't know what it's actually
I don't know what you
called.
call
ramp
them.
thing.
but,
Like,
aye.
everyone has these ramps. Yeah.
Well, that young couple, I'm so good with names, I can't remember their names. Lizzie? No. Anyway,
Ooh,
the
yeah,
young
I know
couple
who
were
you
with,
mean.
I just leave it and give you fine done. They were building one at the time, weren't they? They were building they were doing the cement up to the flatbed.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite a country. It was interesting. There was a lot to see, as you've heard on here a few times. But
The only thing I thought of that is that it must be a pain, because the majority of people only had one ramp. So if you had stock somewhere else, you'd have to bring them to that ramp, then load them off.
I don't know. They all seem
Yeah.
to work with it. See quite a bit in America as
Yeah.
well, but I don't know what
Yeah.
they're actually. Canada. Some
I don't know if it just helps with. Yeah, they do look cool though. They do look cool. Here it's been quite fun to sit and chat in person and do a real thing. Yaz, you've done your first podcast. Yaz, Dad, that's your second.
Crazy.
Yeah, how's it feel?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's two questions we ask everyone, and Dad, maybe when you answer, you might need to direct it a wee bit down.
I
wouldn't
forgot
move
about
it.
this, and I've
Yeah.
seen so many of your podcasts.
Oh, have you forgotten?
Yeah, I forgot that there was a questions at the end.
Do you know what they are?
Yeah.
What are they?
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah.
And
Almost my age.
what piece of advice could you give to
Just-
people wanting to get into farming?
Fantastic. Well, 5 years first off. Who's going first?
what bit? Sorry,
5 years. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I suppose still here.
Hopefully.
Yes. Aye. Thanks for reminding me. Yes, probably just dodging away as I am.
Yeah.
I don't see any much change in that, but you never know. But at the minute, I think it'll be much of the same.
Played for Scotland at the walking football.
I'm too good.
After Brazil at this point.
Hopefully, I'll still be playing the walking football. Yes.
Yeah.
Aye.
Tell us about that. That's your biggest passion. I forgot to ask you about that.
Well, it's really like it. It's
Love
been
it, yeah.
been a fella that Ron who started it quite a number of years ago, and was always going to go and didn't go, and now there's quite a few of us, and yeah, as well as going to the walking football, we became friends with the majority of them. One or two of them I did know, but the majority of them I didn't. I would say we just enjoy our game of walking football, a bit of fun, a bit of banter, and I'd certainly do hope I'm able to still do it in 5 years. Aye.
And how much do you get out of them on a Thursday, Yasmine?
Not a lot, really, do you?
Well,
You're so set on
you see,
your football.
You've got
You're
to get
looking out your
ready for it.
shorts like 5 hours before.
Oh, it's very serious.
Yeah, I know. It's nice that it has to be like that. Which you're so
yes,
passionate
it's,
about.
it's,
Yeah.
it's very good.
5 years, Yasmine.
I honestly don't know where I see myself in 5 years. That is a good question, though. I've not thought about it. I've only kind of just like going day by day.
There's some big news coming up. Do you want to tell anyone, or do you want to keep it quiet?
No, I've got a new job. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, go for it. Tell us about that.
So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know. Yeah, maybe in 5 years I'll still be there,
Yeah.
and the farm will be fully developed.
So
Sure.
what's the job? Because it's a shepherd, but it's
Yeah.
different. Would be
Yeah.
yeah.
So they're a farm they're just starting up. The land's not been farmed in 10 years. So it's needing all new fencing, all new water systems putting in, reseeding as well. and kind of fixing the paths as well, which go through it. And yeah, it's an exciting project because I feel like the majority of the time when you get a farming job, it's kind of like, this is the system, this is what we do. But even though they have got things set in stone, they are very open to ideas, which is lovely. And yeah, no, I am excited, and it would be nice to see it all the way through, from having no buildings to then having buildings and fields all being sorted and things, and having the sheep and stock.
And as opposed to it being a sort of, what would the word
Yeah.
be, conventional farm for producing food, it's for amenities, for assisting people with neurodiversities, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a bit of mental health as well. They're linked with CAMs. Which it's an exciting role, and it's what attracted me to the job originally, because I really liked the aspect of teaching and taking practicals in my last job. I knew that was something that I would lose if I went just to be a farm worker or a shepherd somewhere else. So yeah, it's exciting to get back into that.
Absolutely. And almost coming from both ends here, someone who was born on a farm, continued on the farm, and someone who was not and has found their way in, maybe is going to try and steal said farm one day. Advice for someone coming in?
Well, I think I'm excited for my new job because part of it, I mean, it isn't always the case, but they have managed to get two people, interns, to progress onto farm workers. That's quite exciting because it means that somebody like myself who's not from a farming background could maybe then get skills and go off and be an apprentice and start up there, which is really nice. Give somebody a chance to learn. But I think honestly, my advice getting into farming would be to get yourself a lambing, even if you're not paid. If you've not got the skills to be paid yet, just to help out, or get yourself on the what's the
Like the NSA
yeah,
landlords.
there's tons of things on there, or there's lots of really helpful groups on Facebook, and get yourself to a lambing and then just take it from there, or go to somewhere like a agri. Yeah.
Good. Dad?
It's on. Just I know.
Oh, like
I know it
like
is.
advice for someone that maybe wanted to come
Yeah.
into the agriculture.
What Jasmine's just said as well, but just have a belief in what you want to do, and if you stick at it,
Don't give
that
up.
something will come along, quite sure, and just have a go.
Yeah.
And well, during that having the go situation, you'll probably find out if it's for you or you're not just sure. And you might tweak it one way or another, but just believe in yourself and just go for it. See where it takes you.
Good
think
advice
that's what I
from
would
both,
say.
I think. Good advice from both. It's no, it's been good fun. Good fun. We've done it with yourself, Dad, obviously before. And yeah, first time for you, Yas, maybe
Very
another
nice
time
doing
doing
it with Yasmine. It was good.
Yeah, absolutely.
good.
Guided each other. For those of you listening, I don't know how the audio's been. I've been listening to it. There's been the odd sort of little jump, but I will work with the mics and learn as we go. Thank you to Henry Plum Foundation for making that side of things possible, because this bit of kit is very bougie. I can turn myself up like this, or I can turn myself down like that. So pretty cool.
And it all lights up, which is really cool.
It does light up, and I could press buttons, but we'll all get a fright, so I won't do it.
Okay.
But it's really cool to have it. The last episode on the channel was Tales of an Uffield Scholar. I assume on sustainability, but it hasn't been recorded yet, so that might change. And the next episode we'll be looking at water scarcity, water security, with Kelly Houston Fisher. Forgot her second name there. Thank you very much for listening as always, and we shall see you for the next one. See you then.
Just before you go, I hope you've enjoyed another episode of the R2Kast, and I'd like to remind you to check out our primary sponsors today, Howden Rural. They can be found on Instagram at _Howden Rural, and Facebook at Howden Rural, and online at howdeninsurance /personal/rural. See you for the next episode.